process of starting your own business? Ever thought about it but just haven't started? Whether you are a seasoned professional or just kicking off your dream of becoming an independent business owner, you are invited to join us for this incredible journey. Discover and become a part of this diverse group of women who aim to support, inspire, uplift, and encourage like-minded women just like you within our Lady-Preneur 100 community. We're going to remove for you the mystique of entrepreneurship, show you how to increase your leads, effectively market your business, and teach you how to build a powerful strategic alliance. You can find us on Facebook by going to the IB Network or by visiting us at our website, www.successradio.us. You can also find our show on TuneIn Radio by searching for the Lady-Preneur 100 Show. That's Lady-Preneur 100. Be sure to follow us there. My name is Kym Welton with Lady-Preneur 100. We're so happy you're joining us today. We're going to talk this week a little bit about your mindset and what it is that helps you create a positive mindset, whether it's in growing your business, relationships, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. What you think about, you bring about. And today I have a very, very special guest with us, my partner in life, my partner in business. I have Mr. Tom Welton here this morning. Hi, Welt.
Hey, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And as you know, Tom and I have a business together. We help people with money and their finances and kind of creating a tailored strategy specifically to each household. And Tom, he mentors a lot of people in our office and in life. Tell us some of the things that you hear people ask you the most about. Hey, Tom, I'm starting a new business. What are some of the things that I should help with getting my mind in the right place?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of people in business, they're always looking for techniques. They're looking for, strategies and things like that, which are all important. But I usually tell people that, none of that matters until you start thinking properly. Your actions are a result of your thoughts. And so, before you start having all of the proper actions, it's going to start with having the proper thoughts. That's why I think self-improvement is so big. I think, surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, with having healthy mentors in your life, reading the right kind of books, listening to the right kind of audios, all of those different things are really probably more important than learning, sales strategies or, techniques when it comes to business or the technical aspects. It's got to start first with how you think.
Right. So getting your mind in the right place. So what are some of the books that you would recommend somebody reading right out of the gate?
I think the books that have, had the biggest impact on me is a book called The One Thing. There's another great book called The Slight Edge, which I would encourage people to read. Think and Grow Rich is obviously a big one. There's a great book out that's relatively new called The Obstacle is the Way. Huge book. And that book talks about how, a lot of the different adversity you're going to hit in life, how it serves a purpose. Quite often we see it as something that derails us, but really what it's doing is the opposite, is those obstacles push you in the right direction. If that obstacle didn't exist, you'd continue to head down the wrong path. And so, these obstacles are put there to help give you direction. And so we got to see those in positive ways. But, so many of those books are so good, but they're really focused on, how you think. That, the one thing that I mentioned first, that book was massive to me because, the crux of that book is, what's the one thing that only you can do? Mm-hmm. I think in business, we learn how to delegate. We learn how to, find people to help us. But there's always going to be that one thing in your business that nobody else can do. And that's really where you need to spend the bulk of your focus. But again, it's really just helping us to align our thoughts with our actions. So
self-improvement and starting with reading. You got audio. You've got, I hear a lot of people say, I'm not a good reader. And I don't think that is a valid reason, excuse, or whatever for somebody not to improve themselves in that way. So if you were coaching me and I said, hey, Tom, I'm really not a strong reader. I do have severe dyslexia, so reading hasn't always come easy for me. What would you say to a person in those shoes?
Well, I would probably ask you, who's told you that? Who's told you that you're not a good reader? I think that, you develop a negative affirmation, because see, that's all you're doing is you're continuing to affirm something that you've either been told or was witnessed to you. And so you believing that you're not a good reader, you didn't just come up with that on your own, right? But what's happened is because somebody at some point in time said either you're not a good reader, or because you had a learning disability that you're not going to be a good reader. Well, you've affirmed that throughout the rest of your life. And so, I would probably start by talking to them about affirmations and saying, listen, just as easily as somebody trained your mind into believing that you're not a good reader, you could easily train your mind into believing that you are a good reader by giving yourself good, healthy affirmations. Tell yourself you're a good reader. I'm a good reader. It may take me a little bit longer to get through the page, but that just allows me more time to sink in. Right. I think quite often people with dyslexia have strengths over other people. I don't see dyslexia as a learning disability. I see it as a benefit to people. Now it just gives you, it allows you to take more time to actually ingest and learn things. I think sometimes people think they're good readers, but all they do is burn through words without it really impacting their lives. I think if they all slowed down and actually read for impact, it'd be good for them. The other thing I would say is, I've heard people say I'm not a good reader, therefore they just listen to audios. I think you got to be careful about that. The human brain learns in different ways. I think listening to audios is huge. I do it every day. You and I, obviously, we wake up in the morning and put on something positive that we can learn from, and we listen to that while we're getting ready or, getting ready to start our day. And that's huge, but it doesn't take the place of reading. And even if you just read, I would tell people, start with a page a day. Do you think you could read one page a day? I think the long-term goal for people is to read 10 pages a day. But start with one, start with two, read one page in the morning, one page at night. It's better than 0 pages. For me, I am not a great reader. I enjoy reading, but I'm not a great reader. My problem is my attention span. I think a lot of people in business, they talk about being, ADD and things like that. I think we all have a certain degree of ADD. It just manifests itself in different areas. So for me, my 10 pages a day, I break them up into 3 different pieces. I'll read, 3 or 4 pages in the morning. I'll read 3 pages in the middle of the day and then 3 pages at night. And I got my 10 pages in, but I didn't sit for 30 minutes at one point in time to do it. I did it in 10-minute increments. And so that's been a way for me to really be able to do those things. So I think there's ways for people to learn how to enjoy reading. Sometimes I think when people say they're not a good reader, they just haven't read anything they enjoy. I didn't used to be a good reader because I didn't want to read the things that schools wanted me to read. But, as I've started finding books that appeal to me, now I love reading. I have a passion for reading.
I hear a lot of people say the same thing. So I'm not a great reader, and I'm just going to listen to the audios, and I learn that way. And you're absolutely right. Everybody learns differently. I mean, absolutely everybody learns differently. One of the books that I think was the most it really shifted my mindset. Well, The Obstacle is the Way. That is absolutely excellent. But David and Goliath, that book was recommended to me several years ago, and it talks about, almost like The Obstacle is the Way, it talks about how to take adversity and turn it into something that could empower you. And so for me, it talks actually about dyslexia. It talks about how when we see certain adversities, people use those as a crutch or an excuse to not get further ahead. So, and it goes right back into what you were saying about the affirmations. You can affirm the positive, but you can also affirm the negative. And a really good book to read is The 4 Agreements, where it talks about what you allow people to say to you, you can allow affect you. So if I'm sitting here with you and I said, man, Tom, you're not looking good. Are you okay? Are you sick? You look tired. And by him allowing me to say those words, it could actually shift how you feel about yourself. Man, maybe I am sick. Maybe I am maybe I am coming down with something. So we can actually affect people by putting those doubts in their minds. And so instead, what our coach has told us was to say, don't tell people, be safe, have a safe trip, have a great trip. Because if you say have a safe trip, now I'm putting doubt in your mind that there may be a possibility that something bad's going to happen. And words are so powerful, right? Words are so incredibly powerful. We need to be careful of what we say to ourselves, what we say to each other, but more importantly, what we allow people to say to us. Right. So all of this reading and creating a positive attitude and creating or maintaining that confidence in, I know what I'm about. I know what I have to offer. I know, what I'm doing here, and then reinforcing all of that with positive reading, positive audio, who you're surrounding yourself with. That's really, Tom, what I want to get into here in the next segment is who are you surrounding yourself with? Not just what are you thinking about, do you bring about, but what are you allowing in your own personal environment? What are we allowing people to say to us and how they can control our environment just a little bit. So we're going to come back in just a few moments. We're going to take a very, very brief break, but please be sure that you don't go away. We've got a lot of good information right after this message.
You're listening to Lady-Preneur 100 on Success Radio USA, part of the Internet Broadcasting Network. You can find and follow your favorite shows on TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify podcast, iTunes, Internet Radio, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. Just search for your favorite shows by name and be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast or Internet Radio on our website. Thank you for listening and sharing with your friends and coworkers, and thanks for supporting Success Radio USA. Listening to Success Radio USA at successradio.us. Success Radio USA is committed to helping you achieve a positive daily approach to your success each and every day. Thank you for listening.
Success Radio USA.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Lady-Preneur 100. We have a very special guest today, Mr. Tom Welton, my business partner, and also my husband and the man of my dreams. So we're going to be asking him a couple of questions. Tom is very, he's coaching other people, he's leading other leaders, and he's mentoring. And we're talking a little bit about what you think about, you bring about, what it is that you're allowing into your environment. One of the things, real quick, I want to before we get back over with Tom. He's talking about how to self-improve, reading and audio and all of these wonderful things. And we're going to get right now into what do you allow into your environment? Who do you allow into your environment? And I want to very quickly talk about one of the privileges that Tom and I both had together along with our children is we were members of an organization here in town. It is the most elite, disciplined football organization. They go to the nationals, the state nationals every year. But when we were there, we were exposed to some of the greatest leaders that we had ever met. People that were so selfless, people that were giving, they were kind, they were loving. It was a family. And I bring this up because being around those types of people makes you want to be better people. Right. And so the people leading that organization right now, we have Travis and Stacy Jones, who are very dear friends of ours, Drew and Jennifer Johnson. Again, I mention these names because they are people in our community who are all about other people and serving other people. And they work with us alongside. We've locked arms together as we're on a crusade. But they also represent the War Dogs Association and teaching children how to become great leaders, how to become disciplined athletes, how to do all of these incredible things. But more importantly, even stepping just outside of that, watching this community and this family grow together. They had a football game this Saturday where they are supporting one of the team moms who is fighting a battle against cancer. And as we're in October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's so crucial to understand that when people are going through dark times, they want to be surrounded by people who care about them and who love them, and that positivity, it could really help people combat illnesses so much better. And so I wanted to give them a shout out. Marlis, there on the War Dogs, we love you. We're here for you. And thank you to, Travis and Stacy and Drew and Jennifer for leading the charge, and they all wore pink on Saturday, that pink socks, pink jerseys, and they just really rallied around this woman. And once again, this just shows me the power of who you surround yourself with, right? So talk to us just a little bit about that, Tom, controlling your environment.
Yeah, I think that, people believe that you can brainwash somebody. But what they don't realize is that we're all being brainwashed to a certain extent all day, every day. Mm-hmm. The key is to take control over that. Your environment affects your thinking. Mm-hmm. The things you watch, the things you listen to, the people you surround yourself with, they all impact us and they affect how you think, right? Your childhood, your parents, your environment, the people you spend time with, the things you were exposed to, it all affects our thinking, which then affects our behavior. Why not take control over that? I mentioned affirmations earlier. A lot of people think they're silly, but if you really, break down the science of it, why not you be in control of the thoughts and things that are coming into your mind? And part of that is what you were talking about, having control of your environment, the people you surround yourself with. I see so many people that are success minded, they're success focused, they want to win, but they surround themselves with all of the wrong people. They surround themselves with people that have very small thinking, people that are negative, people that focus on the negative, and it impacts them. And so it's like they're trying to take one step forward and they end up taking two steps back because they just haven't put the right people around them. In my business, like you said, when I'm coaching and mentoring people, that's one of the questions I always ask is, tell me about the people you spend time with. And I don't just want to hear about the people you spend time with in the office. More importantly, I'd like to hear about the people you spend time with outside of the office. Who did you go out to dinner with last other than your spouse? Who did you talk to on the phone most recently other than your spouse? What was that conversation about? And usually I start seeing where the problems are arising. Oh, I went to lunch with this lady. Well, tell me about this lady. Oh man, she's sick and she's out of work and she's this and she's that. And I said, okay, so tell me about the conversations. And it really was just hearing this lady talk about, all the things that aren't going right in her life. Now, certainly, there's times for us to be, the rock for people. You want to go out with somebody who's, suffering some hardship and you can be the positive influence in their life. But usually what ends up happening is the opposite. Instead of that healthy person being the positive influence on the other, the unhealthy person ends up being influential on the healthy person. And then they start thinking about their own problems. They start thinking about all the things that aren't going right in their own life instead of staying focused on all the things that are going right. And so you've got to be so careful with what you allow yourself to be exposed to. I was just talking to some people this morning about that. And I said, you think about how you raise your kids. We raise our kids and we're so sensitive to what they watch on TV, and we're sensitive to the music that they hear, and we're sensitive to the kids that they play with, and they don't go on sleepovers without meeting the parents and all. We're so sensitive to what our children are exposed to, but quite often we become very insensitive to what we're exposed to. And I think if we treated ourselves with that same level of sensitivity, it's amazing how it would affect your health, how it affects your thinking, how much more positive you become. Suddenly you take an analysis of the people around you and man, they're just just like you. They're all going somewhere, and you're all focused together, and you're all like-minded, and that's when big things really start to happen.
So with business, you before business, before this entrepreneurial journey, you have friends and you have associates and you're hanging out with a certain group of people. Now, as we start to develop a business, and I'm talking any kind of business, it could be an MLM, it could be a brick and mortar, it doesn't matter. You really do have to control the environment in which you put yourself in. How do you recommend people start, if you're around a lot of negative people who are doing things that you don't normally agree with, it didn't bother you so much before. Now you're trying to build a client base. Now you're trying to, establish a great, a reputation for yourself. How do you tell people you've got to start weeding the wrong people out of your life? You can't just cut people off. I'm not talking to you anymore. How do you do that? How do you really transform your life?
That's a great question. I mean, I think you have to ask yourself if the people you're surrounding yourself with, if they really want what's best for you. If you and I, if somebody has a child and they had a friend who now suddenly doesn't like spending time with them, doesn't like their child, doesn't agree that they had a child, and really doesn't want to come over anymore because they do have children, how long do you think those people are going to stay friends? I think it makes perfect sense to us in that context. It's like, shoot, man, listen, I have a kid. They don't like my child. They don't want to spend time with me because I have a child. Well, then I really don't have time for them in my life. Well, what about if you were to start a business and you had a friend who, you spent time with and you guys were cool together, but now all of a sudden that you're starting a business, they don't really want you to be successful. They don't like your business. They don't like hearing about your business. They don't want to see pictures of you in your business. To me, I look at it no different than if I had a child, right? Listen, you're not in supportive of me and you don't really want me to win, then I think I need to reevaluate our friendship.
Right.
And those are the things that I always tell people. Listen, let's evaluate your friends. Do they really want you to win? Do they want what's best for you? Do they want you to be successful? If the answer is yes, then those are great people to have in your life. If they're not, then you really need to ask yourself, do you really want to spend a lot of time with people that just don't want you to win? They don't want to what's best for you. I love entrepreneurs. I don't care what business they're in. If somebody's willing to step out on their own and start a business, man, I am in 100% support of them. You and I have tons of friends that are business owners that have nothing to do with our industry, and it doesn't matter. We love them as much as anybody, because I'm in support of them and they're in support of us. And so, that's what I want in my life. I want people that really want what's best for me. They want me to do well. They want me to be successful. If they don't, then again, I got to reevaluate whether we were really friends to begin with.
It's hard because you want your closest friends to support you. And when we bring people into the office and they're starting brand new with us, and a lot of them, they're changing the way, their perspective, they're changing their environment, and they get a lot of negative people who are trying to talk them out of whatever it is that they're trying to do. The scenario I give, or I guess the way I have them kind of picture it, is if you are on, let's say you want a trip on a yacht, right? You got this all expense paid trip and you got to bring your closest friends, right? And you're going to go on this yacht and you're going to have an all expense paid trip, and it's going to be the closest people in your life. Who would you pick to go on that trip with you, right? Because really, those are the people you should be talking about to your business about, right? If you're on this yacht and you're out in the middle of the ocean and you're having a great time and everybody's getting along and there's music and there's food and there's everything that you can dream of, and suddenly the yacht stops. There's no gas, it doesn't work, and you're out there stuck. You're stranded. Nobody really knows how to find you. No, you can't call anybody, and you're out there. And you see this island kind of off in the distance, right? And you tell yourself, I'm not the best swimmer. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go for it, because the only way I can make it is if I try. And I gotta get there. You're gonna have different friends on that yacht, and a couple of them are gonna say, "Man, don't do it. You shouldn't do it." I don't think you can make it. It's awfully far. You're not a great swimmer. I'm not sure you're good at that. And you're going to have the friends that say, you know what? I'm not great at it either, but I'm going to come with you because I want you to we're going to make it together. We're going to help each other. We're going to encourage each other. We're going to make it together. Right? And you got the other friends that'll say, you know what? I'm not really good at that, but I believe in you. I can't go with you. I've never swam before and it's scary and I'm not sure, but I'm going to cheer you on no matter what. Those are the people that you really have to evaluate when you're starting your business. And I tell new people all of the time when they say, oh, my so-and-so doesn't believe it. My broke uncle's cousin's neighbor said this is never going to work, right? One, are you taking advice from somebody who has what you want or is where you're trying to get to? Two, is it somebody who really, no matter what, has your back? That they're either going to cheer you on or go with you. You know, who are those people? You gotta protect yourself from the naysayers, right? It is not your success. It's not your failure that they fear for you. It's actually your success that scares them. So what it is that you are surrounding yourself with, the people, the mindset, the environment, it all goes together. We're going to take a very quick break so we can hear from our sponsors. Don't go away.
You're listening to Lady-Preneur 100 on Success Radio USA, part of the Internet Broadcasting Network. You can find and follow your favorite shows on TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify Podcast, iTunes, Internet Radio, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. Just search for your favorite shows by name and be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast or Internet Radio on our website. Thank you for listening and sharing with your friends and coworkers, and thanks for supporting Success Radio USA. Listening to Success Radio USA at successradio.us. Success Radio USA is committed to helping you achieve a positive daily approach to your success each and every day. Thank you for listening.
Success Radio USA.
Welcome back to the Lady-Preneur 100 show. Today we have Tom Welton. We're talking about how to control your environment, what you think about, you bring about, and starting a brand new business and who it is that you want to surround yourself with. Talking about the people who should have your back no matter what it is you're doing, they're going to cheer you on. So we gave a quick example of who that is to surround yourself with. And I know, Tom, you have a lot of experience with this and coaching people and mentoring people to be the absolute best version of themselves. Tell us, what other experiences have you had with this type of negativity?
Well, I think, you're always going to have haters. I would encourage all of you to just come to terms with that right now. And no matter how successful you get, they're never going to go away. You're always going to have people that take issue with your success. But I think it's more prevalent early on. I think when you're trying to get your business off the ground is when you're really going to be under the most attack. That's when people are really going to, kind of come at you and say, oh man, you haven't even made any money yet. What makes you think you're going to be good at this? I think about this story that Les Brown was telling about bamboo trees. And he said, in Asia, when they grow bamboo, you plant the seed in the ground. And he said, you have to water and fertilize it every day for 5 years straight. And if you skip one day, the bamboo plant dies. And so every day you'll see these people out there and they're water and fertilizing this ground and there's nothing there. See, in 5 years time, there's still nothing that they've seen come through the ground yet. But at the end of 5 years, within the next 5 weeks, the tree grows to 90 feet tall. As soon as it breaks through the ground, it grows 90 feet in the next 5 weeks. And so you ask yourself, did it grow 90 feet in 5 weeks or in 5 years? See, that's business. That's our business. Sometimes it's going to take a while to get off the ground. But you just imagine if you went out in your backyard right now, right? I want all of you that are listening, I want you to think about it. If you went out in your backyard and you planted a seed in the ground and your neighbors looked out the window and they watched you water and fertilize this piece of dirt for 5 years straight and nothing grew. Nothing was coming. How many people would quit? How many people would listen to their neighbors and go, you know what, they're right. This is stupid. I've been watering this chunk of dirt for 2 years now. There isn't a dang plant that's popped through. Why bother? But see, in Asia, they understood that with a bamboo tree, it's going to take 5 years of consistency before they see the fruits of their labor. Right. And that's how our business is. But so many people get blown out and they quit because they listen to being mocked. They listen to people giving them a hard, oh my gosh, you've been in business for 30 days. You haven't made any money. 30 days, come on. It takes 5 years to grow bamboo. How long is it going to take to grow an enterprise? Right? So I just think you got to put things in perspective. First of all, you're going to have haters out there. People are going to mock and make fun of, but that's okay. That's what makes it worth it. Right.
Do you think that the instant gratification of social media puts pressure on people to do things faster? That guy did it in 10 years. This guy did it in 5 years. That guy did it in 3 years. That guy did it in 9 months. Do you think that the instant gratification of all social media, having things right at your fingertips, happening immediately, has any impact on the expectation?
I do. I think social media is a blessing and a curse. I think it's become one of the greatest marketing tools. I think you now can gain exposure with thousands, if not millions of people instantly, where, a few decades ago you couldn't do that through modern advertising, things like that. But you're exactly right. At the same time, society's put expectations on this. And this is how I address that. I just ask people, I go, listen, what is it that you really want? What are you trying to accomplish? Let's say it's financial independence, or man, I want to build a business that my kids can inherit someday. And then my response to them would be, then how does it even matter how long that takes? Right? Does it matter how long it takes? Obviously, faster is better than longer. But at the end of the day, does it even really matter how long it takes? Listen, if you're trying to, build a business, this multi-million-dollar business, does it matter if it takes 3 years or 13 years? At the end of the day, you just know what your goals are. You're going for your goals. Listen, we're all on our own journey. We all have our own path, and we all have different obstacles, right? The person you see on social media, you don't know their story. You don't know what advantages they've had. You don't know any of those things. I just recently got to sit with a gentleman who's highly successful, and in his business, he reached a very high degree of success 2 years after he started it. And he said, so many people looked at me and they said, man, you showed up here and in 2 years you built a business that was paying you, $30,000, $40,000 a month. I've been here, 5 years and I'm not even close to that. And they would get depressed. And he said, wait a minute. But you don't know what my life looked like up until 2 years ago. You don't know that I spent 10 years in sales at a job. And so I had a massive advantage over you in the sales background. You don't know that my parents owned a business in finance. And so really my whole life I've known about finance and I had an advantage over you. You don't know that I played highly competitive sports. And so I knew how to compete and do all these things on another level than what you did. And so, the playing field wasn't even. Right? You've seen me in business for 2 years, but I had a 10-year advantage over you. Right? And so it's just putting those things, but you don't know that. When you see these people on social media, you don't know what advantages they have. You don't know any of these things. And so I love what you've always said. You said, listen, get out there and compete like crazy, but don't compare yourself to others because you just don't know what advantages or disadvantages they have over you because it can work just as bad. Right? Just as easily as you can beat yourself up because you don't compare to the person to your right, you can just as easily be boastful and have an overinflated ego because you're beating the person to the left of you. And you don't know anything about either one of them.
Nope. And I find, too, that quitting is a lifestyle. That if people are going to quit, they're going to quit no matter what. And it's, if you look at, their life, they've tried a lot of things. They've never really mastered anything and they've always just quit. But what I do see is that right before they were about to explode, they give up. Right? You've seen the meme. The guy, he's digging and digging and digging and he's going to, he's digging for diamonds. And then all of a sudden, right, there's just a thin little layer and he turns around and he walks away and he backs up. But he was so close to making it. He was so close to getting exactly what he was digging for. And he just gave up. And there was a story yesterday. It was on a documentary I was watching with our daughter. And it showed a lady, little morbid story, but it has a great point, who jumped off of the Hollywood sign, the H. She was an actress. She had done 15 movies. All of her footage it ended up on the cutting floor. So she made an impact in Hollywood, but she wanted to be the Marilyn Monroe of her day. She wanted to be somebody exceptional. And she never made it on the big screen the way she thought that she was supposed to, but she was impactful. Just not the way she wanted to. So she went home, she drew out this letter, this long, sorry, sad, give up. And it's typically right when they're about to snap. And it's heartbreaking. I mean, we've seen that. We've seen a ton of people who have come and gone in business. And it's like, man, if you just would have waited, if you just would have held out, if you just would have fought a little bit harder. Right. And so, when you got a brand new person says, I've never started business before, I'm not even sure where to start, Coach. What do I do? What do I do? What's the first thing that you tell them to do?
First, I think they got to sell out that they're not just trying something, they're going to win. Right? Like you just said, quitters quit everything and winners win at everything. Mm-hmm. The beauty is we all decide when we wake up in the morning whether we're going to win or not. I think you're not born a winner or a loser. You make that decision when you put your feet on the floor each morning, because I've seen plenty of people that have had massive success for a long period of time and then they just kind of give up and everything just kind of goes downhill from that point forward. And then vice versa. I've seen people that have struggled and they never got that lead role. They never, got picked for the kickball game in the schoolyard, but then they made a decision. Hey, from this point forward, I want to win. I'm going to be a winner. This is what's happening. So I think you got to sell out to your own success. You and I did that a long time ago. We had no real reason to expect success, right? We had none of the traits needed to be successful in business. We had no background in business. We certainly knew nothing about the industry that we started a business in, but we sold out to being successful day one. We said, listen, I'm going to win. And then the next thing we did is we told everybody that.
That's right.
We told everybody that we were going to win. I think you got, you almost got to back yourself into a corner where there's no escape, right? We hear the analogy about how you got to burn the life rafts. We're not escaping the island. We're here for good. I think you got to do that with business. You just got to make a decision. I'm going to win no matter what. And again, I don't know how long that's going to take, right? Am I going to be the world's biggest success in a year? Maybe. Or is it going to take me 20 years? Maybe. I don't know, but I'm going to win. That's the first step. Now, I do think you make some decisions on how long it's going to take.
Right.
But the first step is you just got to decide, I'm doing this. I'm not trying. I hear so many people use the word try. See, try tells me that there's an alternative.
Right.
Right? I'm going to try and flip the coin and get it on heads, but there's an equal chance that it's going to land on tails.
Right.
Right? In business, I'm not going to try anything. I'm just going to do it. And then I'm going to go tell everybody. And that's exactly what we did. I mean, the day after we started our business, we went and told everybody we knew, hey, listen, we started a business. It's going to be huge.
That's right.
We're going to be massively successful. And again, most people laughed at us. That all the haters showed up for work on time that morning. But it didn't matter. We made a decision that we were going to win, and we told the world about it. And then the next thing we did is we just realized, okay, what do we got to do to be successful? Yeah. Who do we need to become to be successful? We were fortunate early on. A lot of the things that we're talking about were told to us early on. We were taught that, listen, you've got to start taking control of the people around you. You've got to take control of your thoughts. You've got to start growing and self-improving. You've got to become the person you want to be, not stay the person you are.
That's right.
See, I think so many people, they're just stuck. Like you said, they say things like, I'm not a good reader. I'm not good with people. I'm not good at sales. Says who?
I don't know anybody.
Who made those decisions for you?
Yeah.
See, you made those decisions with a lack of evidence, right? I hear so many people say, I'm not good at sales, and they never tried to sell one thing in their whole life. So how would you even know? Or maybe, I tried selling my bicycle when I was in 4th grade and the kid said no. So I must not be good at sales. Come on. You weren't good at walking when you first tried it. I'm not good at anything that I try early on. And so what do you got to do? You put energy and effort into those things, and then you become good at it. And so I just think, you've got to sell out to your own success, tell the world you're going to win, and then put one foot in front of the other every day to get a little bit closer and a little bit better.
And ego. I think people get so wrapped up with their ego. We have a saying in our office, check your ego at the door, check your baggage at the door. Nobody wants to hear, everybody's got something. Nobody wants to hear your mess. So check it at the door, leave your ego at the door. And, I've had people come up to us and say, well, I'm supposed to be somebody. Yeah, you are supposed to be somebody. And perhaps this is the vehicle to get you there. You are supposed to be somebody. But when you let your ego take over, you are pushing everything out of your way. Universe is conspiring in your favor, but if you let your ego take over, you're never going to allow it to happen. Right. So when people say, oh, I'm supposed to be making this amount, I'm supposed to have this, I'm supposed to have that, the question I ask is, are you here to feed your ego or your family?
That's right.
Which one is more important to you? Because when you do great things for your family and you create a legacy and you create a massive business, whatever industry you're in, the ego gets taken care of. So we're going to come back. We're going to take a very brief break. Don't go away.
I'm Chuck Bader.
And this is Jerry Evans.
And you're invited to join us on Profiles of Success, where we feature stories of successful businesses and successful individuals.
You can find us on TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, or Stitcher by searching Success Radio USA. Or go to our website at successradio.us.
Our current program is available every day, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday. We air new programs on every Monday. These are programs which are designed to guide you along your path of success, to provide you with the information, the inspiration, and the motivation to achieve your goals. Right here on Profiles of Success on Success Radio USA.
We're back with Lady-Preneur 100. In our final segment, we have Tom Welton here, coach, mentor, business professional, and my partner. Very quickly, I just wanted to address something that has inspired me lately, and a very beautiful, wonderful, and becoming a dear friend of mine, Amber Turner of the Miss United States pageant. She is here in town, and she is representing something that she brought to my attention, and it's called Best Buddies. And it is a program that helps children with perhaps a learning disability or some type of disability that would become challenging in a school environment. And she's using the pageant as a platform to reach people She is all about inspiring, uplifting, empowering women, which is exactly what the Lady-Preneur 100 movement is about. And she's representing and bringing attention to best buddies. If you don't know Amber, please follow her on social media. It's Amber Turner. She is absolutely wonderful, and she continues to inspire me, and I'm so grateful for the friendship. Actually, our producer, Tim, here in the studio introduced me to her, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. So we're going to get back to Tom Welton and something that he's talking about coaching and mentoring and bringing people to a place both emotionally, mentally, and physically to have an amazing business. And one of the things, Tom, I wanted to talk to you about is because I hear this probably more often now than before, are coaches and mentors and people who say, I'm a life coach. I'm a business coach. What are some of the things that you recommend people be careful of before hiring a coach, or perhaps they already have the information and the tools available at their fingertips? What are some of the things that you would tell people to be aware of?
Well, first, I would applaud them, seeking out, knowledge and experience and things like this to get better. But I think, the first thing I would ask somebody is, have they exhausted all the free resources? Mm-hmm. It's 2018 and SoundCloud and YouTube and, all of these things are so prevalent with incredible resources. I mean, to be honest with you, that's predominantly where I learn from, even the highly successful people that I surround myself with have things out there that are free for all of us to do. SoundCloud is just an endless supply of great information when it comes to thinking properly or entrepreneurship or how to start a business or all of those things. And even YouTube has a lot of good things, right? We always joke that you could, have no mechanical background and, rebuild the engine on your BMW if you got a YouTube channel. But there is some truth to that. There's so much information out there that's free that you got to exhaust those things. But I think as far as hiring a business coach or things like that, I think it could be good. But I would certainly say the most important part of two things about that. One is going to be the pedigree of the person that's coaching you. Mm-hmm. Have they achieved the success that you're looking for? Because I'm not looking for somebody to tell me how to do something that they've never experienced on their own. Yeah. Right? Now, I think there's some certain opportunities where that can work out, but in business, usually not. Right? The best business coaches are the ones that have built businesses that are successful, and they've learned from their own mistakes, and they've created a game plan that works. And that's what they can teach you and coach you on. The second thing I would say is personality is a huge part of that. Just because somebody is a business coach or a life coach or whatever you want to call them, it doesn't mean they're going to work well with you. You've got to find people out there that you just sync with. I say that in my business. There's so many resources out there. I said, man, go find somebody that's winning that reminds you of you. That's what I did. I found people that were getting after it that I felt like, man, they kind of talk like me. They think like me, or they grew up where I did, or they had the same kind of family or failures or whatever that I had. I think that I could really, work well with them. I always tell people, listen, you're never going to learn how to start a business in college, because you're not being taught by business owners, you're being taught by employees, right? And all an employee can teach you is how to be an employee, right? If you want to learn how to be a business owner, you need to surround yourself with business owners. Get out there. I think the best education you could find is to go to where business owners hang out and spend time with them. Strike up conversations and then ask them a million questions. Most successful people are very eager to share what they know with other people, and they're not going to charge you for it or do any of those things. So again, exhaust the free resources. If you find a coach that's going to charge you, first of all, make sure they have the pedigree of what you want to become. Second of all, make sure you really feel like you're going to work well with them.
And so would you say that, and we say this, I think I said it a little bit earlier in the show, you want to take advice from people who have what you have, or have what you want, or are where you're trying to get to?
Yes.
Right. So it's like, I think we liken it to health sometimes, right? I'm not going to take health advice from somebody who's unhealthy, right? I'm not going to take health advice from people who, maybe they're smokers.
Maybe they have bad sleep patterns. Maybe, you know, they stay up till 2:00 in the morning, then they sleep till 11, you know, and you got to be careful with who you're taking advice from. And that goes in all things. You know, that's not just business. that seems like common sense, but you'd be amazed. We have some people who follow us on social media. And we have, you know, they'll post something about their business, and then you'll see all these haters kind of coming in. And, you know, and I tell the people who we work with, are they where you're trying to get to? Do they possess the things that you're trying to have? Right? And so when we first started in our business, there was a couple of things. We had a decent lifestyle. We were doing okay. We were not business owners at the time. But we always tell people we were willing to give up the things that we had, the material things that we had, so that we can have everything that we wanted in the future, right? I don't know if people are willing to sacrifice that, right? Because they'll say, I want this, coach. I need this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. But then you coach them a little bit and they go, well, I'm not really willing to give up my Netflix or my Game of Thrones. Or when I get home, I really just want to veg and play, you know, video games. And what do you say to that?
Well, I say exactly what you just said. You know, are you willing to give up what you want now for what you want most? Mm-hmm. You know, but I think most of the time when that happens, it's because people haven't really sold out to what they want.
Right.
You know, they've sort of think they want it, right? They'll see a nice car, a nice house, or they'll see somebody going on a bunch of vacations, and they, you know, they do want that, but they don't want it bad enough. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't want it bad enough to cause themselves some discomfort. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that comfort is the recipe for mediocrity. You know, most of us, you know, we're raised to kind of create a life of comfort, but the problem is that it's also a life of mediocrity. And if you really want to try and achieve more and be more, then you've just got to come to terms that it's not always going to be comfortable. You're going to end up doing things that most people aren't willing to do. You're going to stay up a little later and wake up a little earlier. You're going to have to learn to be a reader. You know, you're going to do all these things. You're going to have to, you know, cut some of your old friends loose and make some new friends and those new friends might make you uncomfortable. You know, you're going to have to cut the drama out of your life. You know, you and I talk about about that a lot of the time is, you know, we meet these people and they are drama queens. Mm-hmm. You know, they're drama magnets. You know, I got a good friend. You and I both have a good friend, Ian Pruckner, who lives out in Michigan. He calls them walking crap magnets because they do. They're like magnets. They just attract crap in their life. And it's like, and they wonder why it's happening. It's like, I don't understand why all these bad things keep happening. It's like, well, it's because you're speaking them into your life. You know, instead of speaking good, positive, happy things into your life, you know, but they're so wrapped up in the drama that if there isn't any, they'll create it.
Right.
And these are just dangerous recipes for people that really want to be successful. But I just think you got to sell out to it, man. You just got to want it more than you want anything. You know, Eric Thomas talks about that. You know, he tells this story about the guru who, you know, he took this guy into the ocean who wanted to be successful. He said, meet me at the ocean tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And so the guy showed up in a suit and he said, hey, guru, you know, tell me the keys and how to be successful. And the guy took him out into the water up to his chest area. And he said, man, I didn't know we were going swimming. I would have brought a bathing suit. And the guru grabbed him by the head and he held him underwater. And he's holding this guy underwater, and the guy's kicking and flailing and scratching, and he holds him. And right before the guy's about to pass out, he lifts his head up out of the water. And he said, listen to me. He said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you're going to win. And I just thought, man, that applies to all of us. Like, you know, when you want to succeed so bad, it keeps you up at night. When you want to succeed so bad, it consumes your thought. When you want to win so bad that you're willing to shut off the TV or sell your Xbox or give up the motorcycles or the dirt bikes or the softball league or the bowling league or the golf clubs or whatever it is, you're willing to give that up because you want to succeed so bad that you want to win as bad as you want to breathe. That's when big things start happening.
And we hear that, you know, we talk about, we eat, bleed, breathe, our business. And people have actually said, man, you're obsessed. You're obsessed with your business. It's not that we're obsessed with business or money or success. Really, we're obsessed with impact. You know, we're driven by impact in community. We're driven to help other people. There's so much. And I think you said this, Bass, and it's a Grant Cardone quote, but being mediocre or being middle class is the most selfish thing that you could ever do because you only have enough to take care of yourself.
That's right.
Right. So when you are passionate about giving back and doing and being impactful and being meaningful, it becomes about other people. It becomes about all of those other people whose lives that you want to show your life is purposeful. Let it be impactful. Let us show you what you're meant to be here.
Well, no, I think, when did being obsessed become a bad thing? Right. We do. I think as a modern society, we look at people that are being obsessed with something as being a bad thing. I think we've convinced ourselves. They do. They call it focused. It's like, man, you got vision. You have a goal. I mean, without a vision, the people perish. Right. You gotta be focused on it. And I think everybody, they're looking for this. I want to have balance in my life. I don't want balance in my life. I want to have the most incredible business that people could ever fathom. I want to have the most unbelievable marriage there is out there. I want to have the most incredible kids that the world has ever seen. I don't want balance. I want to rise above the level of mediocrity in every level of my life. So listen, when it's time for business, I am obsessed with my business. And then when it's date night, I am obsessed with date night. And it's going to be the best date night we've ever been on, and nothing is going to ruin it, and nothing can get in my way. Right. And when it's time to spend time with my kids, I'm going to be obsessed with the time I'm with my kids, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to do something. I hear people talk about, spending time with their kids. Listen, sitting on the couch while your kids watch TV is not spending time with your kids. No. It's spending time with your couch. Right. I think we all need to raise a level of obsession. We need to be obsessed with being amazing in all areas of our life. And shoot, business is a huge part of those. Be obsessed with winning. Be obsessed with being exceptional, and just run from mediocrity in every area of your life. The whole world is telling you to be mediocre. There. Everything on TV, everything, even the media, the news media, it's such sensationalism trying to keep you, watching all of this craziness. When something bad happens on the freeway, what's the first thing people do? They slow down so that they can watch. It's almost like they're looking for the negativity in the world, right? And you're constantly exposed to it. And I know I can be very honest. We don't turn our TV on very much. We spend we eat dinner together at the table, and we spend quality time with our family and with our kids. It's very important to us. So as we are building this empire, our kids aren't saying, well, that was great, but I never saw you. Right? Because so much in corporate, where we come from, we spent countless hours, countless days. We spent more time with our colleagues than we did with our own family. So now here in building a business, we're building together. We're growing together. We have goals together. We focus a lot on couples, who then we focus a lot on families. And that is a very exciting thing for us, is to be impactful in that way. I'm going to spend just a couple seconds here to acknowledge some of our listeners and our viewers. We've got Amber Turner, the beautiful Amber Turner, who also said not just Best Buddies, but SCORE. Amber will be a guest on our show, so we're going to be able to talk to her and hear from her personally. We got Travis Jones, Angel Cleary, Harley Silva, just had a baby, beautiful Harley Silva, Jesus Cervantes. We've got Carol Kym Welton. And again, we're just so honored that we have our viewers on here. Let us know you're here at the next show. Let us know what you'd like to hear from us. We've got great messages. One of the things I just want to kind of leave this with is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You got to get out there. You've got to learn. You've got to grow. You have to be the person who it is that other people are looking for. I know in when we started a business, we didn't start off by saying, we're going to go out and coach and mentor. We were really looking at a business that we could give to our children, that they could inherit. We didn't want to work 40, 50, 60 years to have nothing to show for it at the end. And I'll leave you, Tom, with your final quote or your final message. What is the last thing that you want our listeners to hear from you? Well, I think you just got to really decide what you want in life and give it everything. You got to give it 110%. I think as soon as you take your focus off what you want, you've created space to attract the things you don't want. I just heard recently on some stuff I was studying, they said that life is a battle for territory, and it's either going to get taken up by the things that you really want or by the things that you don't want. And so you got to just, in all areas of your life, decide what you really want. Do you want to win? Do you want a business? Do you want an amazing family? Do you want, to create some wealth in your life? What is it that you want? Do you want to make a social impact, right? Do you want to change the lives of others? And then just sell out to it with everything you got, stay focused on that, make a decision. You're going to win. No matter how tough it gets, you're going to win. You're going to do it for your family. You're going to do it for something bigger than just you, and just give it all you got.
Another great show by Lady-Preneur 100. We just tell you guys, when you think you can't stretch any further, when you think you just can't go any further, give it another shot. Go just a little bit further. Thank you so much, and we will see you in a week and a half.